All right, welcome back everyone to our water fluoridation investigation. So I have a bit of bad news for you guys. I told you I would have a video explaining kind of the genesis of water fluoridation in Henrico, because I think when you know the genesis of this water fluoridation program, everything kind of makes sense from there. I touched a little bit on how Henrico was getting their water from Richmond, and then about 20 years ago, Henrico set up their own waterworks and started adding fluoride into the drinking water. Why were they doing this? Well, Richmond was adding fluoride to treat the water, so Henrico decided they're going to add fluoride to treat the water. It was kind of a monkey see, monkey do kind of a thing. And then the second component to this is that VDH had an administrative code that said may require water fluoridation. Now, what's interesting is Henrico's position is they just vehemently assert that VDH was in fact forcing them under this Virginia Administrative Code. VDH says, sure, it said may require, but we were never requiring Henrico to put fluoride in their drinking water. They were doing it on their own. Now, VDH cannot require water fluoridation because of the Safe Drinking Water Act. The Safe Drinking Water Act does not permit VDH to require water fluoridation. So the Virginia Administrative Code that VDH wrote was invalid, right? You can't do that. Well, so in my opinion, this is how Henrico got bamboozled. And so I wanted to share with you a visual representation of this with some animation. But last night in my haste, so I had this presentation all put together, everything was done. But last night I was helping another investigative reporter on a story, and I needed to do several screen recordings, and I didn't have enough space, and so in my haste I deleted this PowerPoint presentation. So I'm having to recreate it, and I would say I'm about 75% of the way through with this, and I hope to have it for you by the end of today or by tomorrow. So but I thought I would share this video with you that I found. It's a short video, 5 minutes long, and it will help explain just how bad it is to put fluoride in the drinking water. So if you saw the previous videos, you know that fluoride at the levels that it's currently being added into the drinking water will reduce your IQ, your child's IQ, by 5 to 7 IQ points. Now, what does that do to the population, right? So when you're dumbing down the population, that is going to put a substantial amount of children in the intellectually challenged category, right? They're going to struggle. They're going to struggle in school. They're going to struggle in life. And then also the children on the other end of the bell curve who, would be categorized as gifted. Instead of having this many people that's categorized as gifted, now we have this many children that's categorized as gifted. So I hope you stick around and watch the entire video, because the visual explanation of this I thought was just really powerful, and that section comes to the end. So let me stop talking and let's get straight into the video and enjoy. Okay, here we go.
The impact of fluoride on brain development. For years, we were led to believe that fluoride is safe.
Dr. Harold Hodge, a distinguished toxicologist on the Rochester team, has carefully investigated the safety of fluoridation.
Well, to put it very simply, fluoride is safe at 1 part per million. Now, we sometimes say, is fluoride poison? Yes, of course it's a poison. In large doses.
Is fluoride really safe? Let's look at what we've learned over the past century. In the
Notice how they say, well, yes, of course, fluoride is a poison. It's listed on the package that it's a poison. Everyone knows it's a poison.
1930s, a dentist discovered that children who drank water with naturally high levels of fluoride had fluorosis, the staining or mottling of teeth. Children with fluorosis had about 5 fewer cavities than children without fluorosis. Next, scientists showed that adding fluoride to drinking water led to less tooth decay. Unfortunately, tooth mottling increased as more fluoride was added to.
Okay, so they acknowledge that when you ingest fluoride, it causes staining on your teeth. It causes your teeth to become yellow, sometimes white splotches, in severe cases, brown. And so Henrico County is saying, yeah, we know that it's going to cause disfigurement, but, we know what's best for you. Also, people later learned that if you want to prevent cavities with fluoride, that the way to do so is to use it topically. You don't need to ingest it, just use it in toothpaste and mouthwashes and things like that.
The optimal range or sweet spot to prevent tooth decay and minimize mottling was about 1 part per million.
Okay, notice the tooth modeling. They acknowledge over here at 1 part per million that it is going to cause dental fluorosis in some individuals. Now, in Henrico, they try to keep it around 0.7, 0.8 parts per million. So there is going to be a huge chunk of children in Henrico County who have dental fluorosis to the point where they're later going to want to purchase veneers, which is very bad for your teeth. So essentially they say, well, we want to prevent cavities. Who cares if it causes disfigurement? You can buy veneers later on in life, which is not healthy at all because they have to shave down your teeth and then add the veneers over top of it. This is very inappropriate.
The sugar industry, which knew sugar caused tooth decay, promoted the use of fluoride and mounted a campaign to thwart efforts to reduce sugar consumption. Then, beginning in the 1970s, soon after fluoride was added to toothpaste, cavities declined sharply in countries with water fluoridation. But they also declined in countries without fluoridation. Today, about 75% of Americans and 38% of Canadians drink fluoridated water. A new study showed that water fluoridation prevents about 1 cavity per child. Still,
that's generous to say that ingesting fluoride prevents 1 cavity in a child. It actually, if you just have 1 tooth, ingesting fluoride is shown to cause, to prevent a cavity just in 1/4 of that 1 tooth. So essentially, you're harming the brain, the thyroid, the bones, and everything to prevent a cavity in part of just 1 tooth. And so people think this is justified to drug people against their will for this reason. Let's continue.
Over 90% of Americans have tooth decay. Meanwhile, scientists began to find clues that fluoride was toxic to the developing brain. Everybody agrees that fluoride is toxic at very high levels. What about lower levels? In over a dozen studies, mostly from China, children who lived in villages with naturally high levels of fluoride had about 7 fewer IQ points than children in other villages, but those levels were somewhat higher than levels found in North America. 2 newer studies of pregnant women and their children, one in Mexico, where fluoride is added to salt, and the other one in Canada, where fluoride is added to water, also found that fluoride led to IQ deficits in children. As fluoride levels increased in pregnant women from 0.1 part per million to 1 part per million, the IQ scores of their children dropped by about 3 to 5 points. What about infants? As fluoride increased in infants, their IQ scores dropped further, especially in formula-fed babies. Infants who are fed formula made with fluoridated tap water ingest more fluoride than a breastfed infant. Breast milk contains very little fluoride. Some critics say that because our study was an observational study, we didn't dose pregnant women with fluoride like a drug study, it was inconclusive. But if we dismissed all observational studies, we'd have little evidence that water fluoridation prevents tooth decay.
Really?
Some critics say it's only one study, but that ignores over a dozen high-quality studies showing that fluoride is toxic to the developing brain. Some critics say it's of little consequence if a child loses 3 to 5 IQ points. Is it worth losing 3 to 5 IQ points to prevent one cavity? Let's look at the impact of reducing children's IQ scores by 5 points. Most of us have IQ scores that fall between 85 and 115 points. Only 2.5% of children have an IQ above 130, which is considered gifted. There are about 6 million children in this group. On the other end of the distribution, another 2.5% of children have an IQ below 70, which is considered challenged. A 5-point drop in IQ results in a 57% increase in the number of children that are challenged, from 6 million to 9.4 million. There is a corresponding decrease in the number of children that are gifted, from 6 million to 2.4 million. What's more, children are often exposed to many chemicals that impair brain development, like lead, air pollution, pesticides, and fluoride. The impact of 3 or 4 toxic chemicals adds up and greatly increases the number of children who are challenged. What can you do? Pregnant women and infants should reduce fluoride ingestion. After all, it only benefits children once their teeth have erupted. If you are
Notice they said it only benefits children once the teeth have erupted, meaning once they come in and then you use it topically, that's where the benefit is. The benefit is not when you ingest it.
pregnant, don't drink fluoridated water or black tea. If possible, breastfeed your baby. Otherwise, don't use fluoridated water to make infant formula. Children should only use a rice-size amount of toothpaste when they brush their teeth, not the amount shown on toothpaste commercials, and they shouldn't swallow it. Adding fluoride to water isn't the only way to prevent cavities. You can choose not to buy products from companies that market sweetened drinks and highly processed foods to children. After all, sugar is the main cause of tooth decay.
Wow. So, how many children is Henrico County putting into the intellectually challenged group? This is just unacceptable. Let me show you one other thing that I think will be important to go along with this. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you. There is a worldwide movement against water fluoridation, and you can see here that out of 195 nations, only 23 have any fluoridation. Over 95% of the world's population is fluoride free. And of course, we know that Utah and Florida have banned fluoridation in the entire state. The majority of the world does not add fluoride. Okay, so you can see that the majority of the world does not add fluoride to its drinking water because these citizens believe in informed consent. I wish Henrico and the city of Richmond would believe in informed consent as well. So we'll see. If you like this video, share it, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And I will get back to working on the PowerPoint. So I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.